So, thank you very much. Where is the receipt? Okay, I'm aiming to. So good afternoon. Yeah, okay. I was inspired by the topic of the conference because usually I talk about blockchain regulation and financial market regulation and so on. And today I just wanted to pick up another topic that is at least as so relevant as blockchain regulation, but so it's not my everyday job. My everyday job is a bit closer to what you are doing in Mauritius, or and to create a regulatory environment. Is the micro okay? Is it okay? Sorry. Okay. Otherwise, you just raise your hand. So today I want to hold a keynote about the topic of how to use decentralized governance structures for microstates. So just as a note before, Liechtenstein does not really like the term microstates because we are important and we are member of the EA. But just as a definition, I accept that a country with 40,000 inhabitants is considered as a microstate. So, okay, very short slide about me because it's. It is automation. It's a smart contract. So I'm originally an engineer. By education, I worked in the industry and in the banking sector. And since 10 years, I'm working for the government of Liechtenstein. I was a member of the team of the Prime Minister. So my job just was kind of a joker. It just was yeah. I manage projects almost in every field. So one of the projects I talked today was to create transparency about the services of the state and in the cost efficiency topic. But also so my main job was to create an environment for to maintain innovation in the financial sector. So how to innovate in the legal system. So that's the Liechtenstein Financial Center is still able to maintain the prosperity and attractive jobs in the future. And but also the Blockchain Act in Liechtenstein is one of my projects, so the blockchain regulation. And in this presentation, I want to combine a bit all aspects of my works of the last 10 years. If I have a bit of free time, I also love to write books. So one of the second last book is the title is Legalized Blockchain. It's about the strategic background of the Blockchain Act in Liechtenstein, and the last book is about how to use blockchain to create a stable financial system. So if you're interested, you should be able to find it. Yes, please.
What is liberalized?
DM. Yes, but it was the initiation. So okay. So if I travel around the world, I'm often asked, okay, you come from Liechtenstein. First of all, what is Liechtenstein, where it is? I hope that everybody of you knows where Liechtenstein is. Otherwise, you see here a picture. It's about half the country. We have about 150 square kilometers, 40,000 inhabitants. It's between Austria and Switzerland. So it's a small country, or as a microstate. But people from big countries often ask me, why do microstates exist? Why is Liechtenstein? And what is the use of a small state? And I just want to use these questions as a kind of a red line throughout my presentation. So if I look around, it's just my personal observation. So I'm not doing a scientific presentation, it's just a keynote. So if I ask my environment, do you like to live in Liechtenstein? They usually say yes, they're proud to be Liechtenstein citizens and they enjoy to be there. And there is no will to join a bigger country. So, but why is this so? Maybe is it just a tradition? So Liechtenstein exists in this form since 300 years. Before it was also the same region, but it was not called Liechtenstein. Is it the wealth? So the interesting thing in Liechtenstein is that we have one of the highest GDP per capita. Is it the customs treaty with Switzerland, or is it the membership in the EA that makes people happier? So it's not a disadvantage to be in a small area. Or is it the capability to innovate, to create an environment where it's more suitable for individuals? Yeah, maybe it's none, maybe it's all of them. I don't know. But if you look at the governance structure in Liechtenstein, we have you see here the parliament building. This is the parliament, and here the prince is living up there. So we have a special constitution or a special governance system. So we have I have to read that. So it's a constitutional hereditary monarchy on a democratic and parliamentary basis. So we have, in short, we have two powers, the prince and the people. And the people is represented by the parliament. We have direct democratic elements like Switzerland. In that point, it's very, very close. But we have also, and that is, I'm not sure if it's in Germany the same case, but we have a kind of active culture of civil engagements, like corporations or associations, also Genossenschaften on German. So this is also a specific topic of maybe why Liechtenstein citizens are happier than others. I don't know. It's not empiric. But I want to have another slide on the innovation capability. So if you look at my biography, I'm just throughout my whole professional career, I've been working with innovation. And so I'm asking myself, what is about innovation capability in a country? So is it maybe easier to solve problems in microstates than it is in bigger countries? So what are the typical factors to innovate? And to innovate is on an abstract level, it's very easy. So you need to understand the system, the problem. You need to be able to find a solution, and then you need to be able to implement the solution. So that was the easy part. In practice, it's not so easy, but if we ask ourselves, is this a specific property of small states? I would say maybe it's easier to understand the problem. So you can talk directly to the people, and so. But the ability to find the best solution is not a characteristic of a small state. Also, the ability to implement something is not specific for a small state. So I would say it's not really the core point I want to say is that if a country is open to innovation or is able to innovate depends on the people that are in a certain point of time in the right position. And so if you look at the world's innovation capability, that's the reason why small states are important to have, because then we see a lot of solutions in the world. And maybe some of the solutions we see are better, and then we can learn from each other. If we have only a few small countries, then this innovation capability of the world would not be the same. One example that was interesting in the presentation of you of Malta this morning, we had the same discussion also in Liechtenstein about the regulation of blockchain and fintech. And we choose I would say, a completely different approach. And without saying which approach is better, but with these two countries and small countries that have chosen to be pioneers in a certain sector, it's possible to see what approach is better, and then other countries could also learn from these pioneers. And this is a wonderful example of how this could play. So, okay. Another stage. Now we come to the point of efficiency of states. And so in 2013, when I started to work for a government, so we was in the aftermath of the financial crisis. We had to cut our budget for more than 20%. We did it. I was leading a project to increase the efficiency of the public services and to search for ways how we could reduce the budget or optimize the budget in that point. And so the first step we did is we made an analysis about what is the government doing or the state is doing, why are we doing the things? It's not so easy, the question, and how many resources do we invest in that? The result is just, it is interesting still. I mean, we finished this project 7 years ago, but at that point of time we had 813 core tasks in Liechtenstein. Example of core tasks I mentioned just here, to give construction permits, to clean the roads, to have diplomatic representations. So it's on the medium level of abstraction. And we have 808 full-time equivalents. So less than 1 FTE per core task. And this shows the challenge of small states. So at that point of time, it was clear it was not really possible to work on the efficiency of the process, because even if we increase the efficiency of a process about 20%, it doesn't really matter because we have people there. So maybe they could use the time for drinking coffee, but they're there. So it's not the mass to designing mass is not there. We have introduced a categorization that was maybe also interesting. Like we said, we had one segment of the tasks are sovereign core tasks that they are necessary for a state. Then we have sovereign services that are services that are backed with the law. Then we have public services that are just there as a kind of, in terms of efficiency for the society, and then some internal services. And you see here the distribution about this kind of service. And this is interesting because only 1/3 of our activities are really core functions of a state. Here is a distribution. You see, just to underpin what I mentioned before about the efficiency topic. So many tasks are just, almost done with very low resources. Here is a map where we have drafted just to illustrate how many resources that are spent for what purpose. This is this functional perspective, so that's the purpose or the meaning of an activity. So here, if you're interested in that, I have just introduced this, the link to the report. It's still available. But what's important is that we have found that the potential to increase the efficiency of a state is very limited. So we could, so the increased efficiency of within a unit is not really possible. So the only potential we have in cross-unit process optimization to stop certain tasks. To say we won't do that as a state. And the third potential is the most important point. I mean, we create laws, and laws define tasks for the government, and also set the parameters how these tasks should be done. And this is the biggest potential to increase the efficiency of a state to our experience. So we should start to think about how we design our laws and regulation. Then we could increase the efficiency of the state. That was before blockchain came out in our life in Liechtenstein. So, and now we have, with blockchain, another level that we could use to provide governmental services. And in the following slides, I want to show you the potential I personally see in the use of blockchain for governmental services and how the states are providing services. And it's important to see that blockchain is a game changer. So I started to to learn about blockchain in 2015-16, just after this project, to be exact. When the first companies came to Liechtenstein they wanted to use blockchain, and at that point of time, I said to the Prime Minister, okay, this is really a game changer. Blockchain it's just changing everything we have seen before in fintech. We need to do something. Then we started the working group, and the outcome was the blockchain regulation. As we heard before, the regulatory certainty and clarity is important for business. And one baseline of the Blockchain Act is that we need to think in ecosystems. As an engineer trained to solve problems, I would say it's a matter of the system borders we define. We have the internal system border, we have the national, international, and the supranational system border. And in the next slides, I want to guide you through how we could use blockchain to use for public services. So the internal perspective is easy. So this is something many states have done in the world, like Georgia, the land that we could replace register functions in the by blockchain. But we have to pay attention that the thing that the state is doing is not only register keeping, but it's just ensuring that the laws are respected in that process. So if we talk about the land register in Liechtenstein, the authority also checks if the selling of a house is also respected in the with the law. But we could also use that for a fundamental process optimization based on blockchain. Like we could, in Liechtenstein, even if it's a small country, you have to have a permit to move from one village to another. And this could, if you take the citizen registry and design a completely new process to the digital process, it could be a very good example how to use that. But it's still very limited, and it does not really increase the efficiency. The second level is more important, I would say. So if you look at the national perspective, it's about, if you think in ecosystems, it's easier to create an efficient process and to reduce the efforts the state has to provide in this function. As one example, I choose the car lifecycle management. So the governmental function is to ensure that the vehicles that are allowed in Liechtenstein that are to a specific technical level and so on. You know what the functions are. If you consider all the life cycle of a car, we have the car owner, we have the producing company, we have the sellers and so on. We have many stakeholders that are can be integrated in a fully digital process. And so the potential of blockchain is to design a full process for car life cycle management with all aspects integrated that are relevant in the life cycle of a car until the end of the car. And then we have a kind of an efficiency gain. So the role of the government is just to put some activities on this on chain, but the rest is done in private sector. And this is what I call ecosystem. There is, as an example, so my colleague of the National Road Office in Liechtenstein is working on that topic since years. There is also a Swiss project that's called Car Dossier. And here you see the life cycle of a car just integrated on blockchain. And such ecosystem have a huge potential, to my opinion. Here you find his homepage. This is Otto Fromm, it is the guy who made this picture. And now we come to the international level. So if you, Liechtenstein is close to Switzerland and Austria. So if the Swiss government is using the same ecosystem technology and the Austrian government is using the same technology, it can be a whole ecosystem for all car owners in this area. So even moving a car from Switzerland to Liechtenstein and to Austria is easier and managed on the same chain. So this could be one example. I mean, if you live in Berlin, the cross-border topic is not so relevant. But if you live in Lichtenstein, where the borders are just in front of you all the time, this is relevant. Everything is cross-border. We do. So this is something we can learn from microstates. And so then we create an ecosystem that is a bit more interesting to solve problems, and then the efficiency can be better. And for that, we can use other examples. So the road pricing systems, German Mauts are a typical example of what we can use blockchain for. Just as an anecdote of my life, I was in Portugal some years ago, and I didn't see that there was was it Autobahn? Sorry. Highway, and just drove 400 meters on this highway, and I think 3 years later I got a ticket receipt that I need to pay €2.50 plus 15 euros administration fee for this. Okay, but this is a typical example. Election systems could be a good example to be international rights, but also the global trade register. So, and this is my favorite example because I always talk about we need a kind of a digital identity for juristic persons, for companies, and in a globalization. No, we don't talk about globalization, but in an international environment, the identity of a company is cross-border all the time, and we need some form of a global trade register that this process is simplified in the future. And this is an excellent example how we could solve that, even if we have national characteristics. And now I come to the end of my presentation, I think, to the interesting point, because we talked before about the innovation capability. And if you create one system, one global system, then I believe we stop innovation with that. So if you define a standard, then everybody knows that how difficult it is to create a standard and then to change that. So if we once have a standard and a global trade register, then it's almost impossible to change the technology. As an engineer, I've been working in the elevator business for some years, and there is one component in an elevator that has not been changed for 100 years, is the emergency brake. Because there's a standard, and it's almost impossible to change that standard. It works, so the number of accidents is quite limited with elevators, but it's the same technology since 100 years. And this is the risk we have to face if we create an environment, and a technological environment on a global scale. And therefore, I like the DAOs very much, because everybody knows what a DAO is. Hands up. Okay. No. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. That's a tunnel. We are in it. So it's just we are using words and abbreviations, and don't realize that others are not using them. A DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. It's kind of an organization with a decentralized governance based on blockchain technology. It's like a juristic person or an association or a corporation using blockchain technology where the rules are set in a smart contract, as we have heard before. So it's a very interesting concept with many pros and cons, and we are still in the experimental phases of that. But the idea of a DAO is not really new. I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation that in Liechtenstein we have the tradition of corporations. This is just a tool we use since the hundreds of years to organize our society. So we have introduced in Liechtenstein an innovation cooperative that bases on the same concepts. The Liechtenstein Venture Cooperative is also a very, very interesting tool to see. But the DAO is interesting because before the invention of blockchain, it was to solve a problem from the society. We needed some kind of a level of administration and organization set up. And this is the reason why many functions in states are provided by the states. So Those, I would say, at least half of the functions that we provide in Liechtenstein as kind of a public service are there because the minimum effort to organize that is too big to do it without state. So this is the reason why we are a centralized organization. And now we have a tool on blockchain which allows to organize ourselves. Just we have to think a lot how to set up the rules, but the organization and implementation is just by pressing a button. It's a smart contract. And so, I mean, the first idea we could talk about is and this is just an idea to stimulate the discussion afterwards, but could we use DAO to replace public services on a national level? Just as one example, could we organize the garbage collection more efficiently with a DAO, so that the involvement of the citizens that are was heißt, betroffen, so just affected. Sorry, I was engaged was the wrong word. But are affected could be direct. So if you're not satisfied with the garbage collection, as we heard in Naples some years ago, that you can vote and say, okay, you're off the business as a majority, and we choose another one. So just as a small example, so that we have a direct access from the affected people to the decisions we make. Or social welfare. There are, I think, tons of examples we could use DAOs for to have a better governance structure. But the most interesting topic we could talk about for longer, but it's just a remark at the end of my presentation. Could we use DAOs on an international level to solve those international problems and replace governmental functions? And I believe this is the development we see in the future. That's some kind of self-organization is chosen as a new way to solve problems. So this is the last slide of my presentation. So as a conclusion, blockchain offers interesting functions and opportunities for states to use. It has, if you think in ecosystems, the potential is even higher. And the DAO, I like the DAO version very much because it's about the transformation of the small state, the microstates philosophy to the digital age. Because there the innovation capability that we find many different solutions in the world, and we can test and find out what is the best solution to a certain problem is transformed in a digital and global scale. So we could solve global problems like we discussed this morning with green finance or ESG or impacts on DAO level, and then it's a direct impact governed by the citizens, by themselves. And this is the reason why I like the DAO topic very much. So thank you very much.